Yeah, I mean, people keep saying the New World Order will never win, they'll never get our guns. Oh, yeah? Once they blast the military bases and the infrastructure into dust, and you'll be begging for food when the UN troops roll in. And
let me just point out, Alex, here, I'm not really on board that I really think they're going to bring in UN troops. I think it's counterproductive to their whipping up knee-jerk enthusiasm to get us into the New World Order. I think we'd have outright rebellion if they tried to occupy it. First of all, I think they're going to have enough private military contractor thugs to be able to do whatever people control they need to do.
I mean, I agree with you, but reading the Army documents, I'm sure you've seen these, but if you want them, I'll send them to you. They are training to bring in UN troops. Have you seen the deals they've signed to bring in Mexican and Canadian troops during terror attacks in the U.S.? I mean, they're openly at West Point teaching them that foreign troops are going to operate here.
But we have to remember there's a difference between all the foreign troop training. A lot of that is to get information and military technology spread around to our future enemies and things. But I happen to know from my sources the Russians do not intend to occupy here. The Chinese do not. They don't want to get tangled up with millions of civilians with weapons here on that. But I frankly don't think it's necessary to bring in foreign troops. In fact, it would be counterproductive to convincing Americans to go along with the benevolence of the New World Order if they saw the New World Order.
I mean, I agree they're converting. I mean, they have more troops in Afghanistan and Iraq that are mercenaries than they do regular military.
Right.
Joel, I agree with that. But I'm just saying, in all the training, I mean, it's public that they're saying they want to use NATO/UN to help us during emergencies. So they're certain.
You have to send me some of those because I'd like to analyze that just to see. Let's carry on that for a future discussion, Alex, when I've had a chance to see that. Can we do that?
Absolutely. Let's try to jam in a few final calls. This has really gone quickly here. Let's talk to Paul in Ohio. You're on the air with Joel-Skousen. Go ahead. Hey, Paul, you're on the air, buddy. Okay, he's gone. Christopher, California, quick question.
Hey, what's up, Alex? Can you guys hear me?
Yes, I can.
All right, cool. I'm excited to talk to Joel. I was glad to hear that he's going to be on the show. I have a quote here from Joel, and I also have a few questions for you. Joel, is it true that you said that I've been in a few of the Council for National Policy meetings, and they're dull, there's never anything sinister going on there, there's no influential government policy being made there, that they're rather dull, and that there's no conspirativity, and that they're not secretive, even though they've refused to release any of their meetings.
All right, we got to go to break, but we'll come back. There's a left-wing CFR-funded conspiracy theory that says some group called the CMP runs everything. And it's a total diversion, but we'll talk about it on the other side. This is key, what just got brought up. And I'm glad it got brought up by the caller. We're almost out of time. I'm tempted to go into overdrive with Joel-Skousen, but I don't know if he can stay with us. I get these emails the last few years, you're part of the CMP, you're part of a secret right-wing group more powerful than the CFR. So I went and researched it and found out the Hunt brothers were involved and stuff, and it looked like a right-wing attempt to get the government back from the globalist, and then it got taken over by the globalist. But then I noticed it was big foundation money, and like Mother Jones and Rolling Stone were promoting it, and that's what the White House regulations are. Cass Sunstein says we've now got the London Independent admitting the government is infiltrating conspiracy culture and posing to then attack real people. I hear Joel laughing during the break when I asked him about this, but here's Joel for 2 hours exposing the Republican takeover of the Patriot movement. And then a caller calls in and says, because I've heard it all, will you tell me about the CMP, and then are you part of it? Joel, tell us about this.
Well, I was part of the original CMP starting. I was there as chairman of the Conservative National Committee, and so I have first-hand information about how it began there. I was working as executive editor of Conservative Digest under Richard Viguerie, working with Howard Phillips who's a real patriot, and frankly, we were making really headway in stopping the compromises the Reagan administration was involved in under the influence of Vice President George Bush. And so the CMP was started, in fact, just like to blunt our movement, just like the Tea Party movement is being blunted today. You had your big-name Republicans move in and start to, like Bob Dole and Newt Gingrich and others came in and tried to basically water down our movement, which was to have a no-compromise strategy in there. And so the CMP became, frankly, a kind of a mimic of what the left was doing. But they had no conspiratorial tendencies except, and that's why they kept these things secret, because they wanted some heavy hitters in there, and they charged a whale of amount of money, $1,000 or $2,000 a year to be a member of the CMP. They did have some secrecy, but it wasn't anything that was conspiratorial in nature. Their basic movement was to co-opt our attempts to put some spine into the Republican Party and their resistance to the compromises of the Reagan administration.
Yeah, but Joel, then there's the spin that the CMP runs the whole world now.
We're sorry, your call did not go through. Will you please...
Joel, you still there? That was weird. Here, let's try to get Joel back on. I ought to have him on. It's a total distraction. It's like we have... other guests on who've talked about it, because it's interesting to see how they control the right wing and the left wing. But it's like saying the CFR runs everything when it really does have a lot of power and actually writes a lot of the laws. But they themselves are just errand boys that do it. You know, this interview's been really good with joel-skousen. Maybe we should go into overdrive, guys. We haven't done that in a while. You guys want to go into overdrive? We ready to do that? Let's get Joel back on and see if he can go into overdrive. Joel, your phone got cut out there, or something disconnected you.
Yeah, something happened.
Hey, listen, will you do 20 more minutes with us so we can talk about a few other issues? Or if you're
Sure.
Okay, listen, we're going to go into overdrive, listeners, and that means it'll be internet only. Well, that's actually not true, because the network sends out this fourth hour on satellite, because I do it occasionally live still. So if you're a station, you'll be able to continue to listen to us, actually. I forgot that when we do overdrive now, it's actually on the birds and on the radio stations. I quit doing 4 hours a day a few months ago just because I'm working on the TV show we're developing and everything else. It was just exhausting me. But occasionally I will do the fourth hour. We'll do part of it right now. Keep listening one place, Infowars.com with Joel-Skousen. He'll be able to finish up about the CMP.
What do you mean I don't believe in God? Talk to him every day. What do you mean I don't support your system? I go to court when I have to.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are in overdrive into the fourth hour. We are live with Joel-Skousen of worldaffairsbrief.com. We'll be able to continue with Christopher, Matt, Kenneth, Jeannie, and Steve. At least those calls. But we are going to end the live transmission, come up in about 30 minutes, and it will go back into rebroadcast. In fact, I'm glad he's staying with us another 30 minutes, because I want to get into where he sees the economy going, what he thinks about $1,500 a ounce gold, and some other questions I've got for Joel-Skousen. But your line cut out when the fellow, you were trying to finish your answer, and I brought the question out about this conservative group that was trying to keep the Republican Party conservative, kind of like the Tea Party growing out of Ron Paul is today. And I know a lot of good people were in there early on, but then it became more of an establishment deal. But I've seen globalist publications try to claim that the CMP is really like the CFR.
Yeah, absolutely not true. It started out with some real Goldwater-type Republicans trying to be more conservative than Reagan, but it quickly got, as I say, infiltrated by the establishment Republicans, because these people had money. And anybody who's got money and can project their point of view, the establishment's really worried. So they got that infiltrated, and they stopped that. It's become a very lackluster organization that really doesn't do anything except collect fees.
Well, I mean, again, here you are exposing conspiracies, exposing the New World Order, and then you have a private group that meets to try to keep the Republican Party conservative, and it turns into this whole other conspiracy theory put out by the Rolling Stone, who makes fun of things like the New World Order. It's ridiculous. But regardless, I've never been part of the CMP. Know almost nothing about it. today it seems more like a vestigial thing, kind of like the Tea Party will be in 20 years if the globalists are successful at taking it over. What's your view on that?
Yeah, precisely. That's exactly right. It's just going to get watered down more and more as the Tea Party will, with establishment Republican support of establishment Republican candidates, and that's all the CMP does. Now, I never was able to afford the membership dues. I was never formally a member, but I was there during the incipient meetings. And so I knew the people, and boy, it was amazing to sit there with Howard Phillips and Richard Viguerie and point out, you know, I was kind of a novice in Washington to see who the bigwigs were and who the infiltrators were, and it was a real education.
Absolutely. And Howard Phillips has been fighting the New World Order forever.
That's right. And very straight shooter.
Well, you know, that's who should, I mean, if Fox News was for real, it'd be joel-skousen, it'd be Howard Phillips, very well spoken, it'd be Ron Paul. But I think them moving with Judge Andrew Napolitano, they just know there's too high a ratings associated with, you know, with true constitutional views. I mean, look at him. Within his show being 2 weeks old on Fox Business, it had more viewers in a weekend than all other shows combined. I mean, he should instantly have a show on Fox, but you don't see that happening.
No, he's very, very credible, and that's what they don't want. They don't want credible spokesmen on our side of the spectrum.
Well, then why are they letting him dominate with a once-a-week show on Fox Business?
Well, he's still having to be careful. I mean, he said some real truthful things, but you notice he hasn't got into real deep conspiracy theory and facts.
Yeah, I'll just keep my mouth shut, but I've talked to him off air. He's for real. He knows.
No, he is. He absolutely is, but I think he's been told there are limits.
All right, we're going to come back, go to Christopher, Matt, Kenneth, Jenny, and Steve, and then I'm going to ask a few important questions of Joel Skousen, worldsaffairsbrief.com. Our websites are Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.tv. We'll be right back after this break. We're in live overdrive with Joel Skousen. Very interesting and informative stuff. Stay with us.